Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today is the day I've been working toward for a long time. The first club championship of RC 045 here in the Netherlands, and my very first RC race ever. Time to find out if all those hours of practice were enough to survive my first real race. Will my Arrma Talion survive the chaos? Will I keep it on all four wheels? And most importantly, will I embarrass myself in my very first race? With 16 drivers divided into 3 qualifying groups, the pressure is on from the very beginning. Each driver gets 3 qualifying heats, and only your best 2 results count toward your total lap score. After that, it's time to find out who makes the A final, the fastest 8 drivers, and who ends up battling it out in the B final. Let's hit the track. I was placed in the very first qualifying group, and believe it or not, I made the ultimate rookie mistake. I completely forgot to press the record button on my camera. So unfortunately, there's no footage of my very first RC race ever. Not exactly the start I had in mind. Thankfully, I was able to capture the action from Group 2, and wow, it only takes a few seconds to see that these drivers are here to race. They're battling hard for every position, diving into corners side by side, making daring overtakes, and pushing their cars right to the limit. This isn't just casual bashing anymore. This is real competition. One thing I really love about RC 045 is how everyone helps each other. As soon as you've finished your own race, you don't just sit back and relax, you become a track marshal. Your job is to quickly put flipped cars back on their wheels and keep the race flowing as smoothly as possible. It keeps every driver involved throughout the day and creates a fantastic atmosphere where everyone works together, even while competing against each other. And there's another bonus. Standing out on the track gives you an amazing front row view of all the action. That means I can capture some awesome close-up footage of the racing. So even though I missed recording my own first heat, you'll still get to experience all the speed, crashes, overtakes, and excitement from right in the middle of the action. Now it's time for Group 3, and just like the previous heat, these drivers are giving it absolutely everything they've got. The level of competition is incredible, with close racing, fearless overtakes, and everyone pushing right to the limit in every single corner. Standing trackside as a marshal, you really get to appreciate just how skilled these drivers are. Watching the battles unfold from only a few meters away is an experience on its own. Every lap is packed with action, every mistake creates a new opportunity, and the fight for every position keeps you glued to the track. Honestly, it was an absolute pleasure to watch. The speed, the intensity, the sportsmanship, and the atmosphere made it impossible to look away. If this was only the qualifying heats, I couldn't wait to see what the finals would bring. And now it's time for my second qualifying heat, and unfortunately, this is where everything starts to go completely differently than I ever imagined. Before we continue, I need to explain what happened. Every car is fitted with a transponder that automatically counts your laps. The timing system was still in its testing phase, and unfortunately, not every transponder worked perfectly that day. Mine turned out to be one of the unlucky ones. Looks like my transponder may have been damaged during my first crash, because from that moment on, it suddenly stopped registering my laps. So even though I was still driving, the system simply wasn't counting them anymore. And that's the really frustrating part. After my first qualifying heat, I was sitting in an incredible second place with 13 laps. Honestly, I never expected to be fighting near the front in my very first RC race. I came here hoping to learn, have fun, and maybe stay out of everyone's way, not to be battling for the top positions. Unfortunately, because my laps weren't being recorded, this second qualifying heat wouldn't count at all. Since only your two best qualifying results are used to determine the final standings, there was only one thing left to do. Get the transponder working again and give absolutely everything in the third and final qualifying heat. The pressure was definitely on. Just like that, it was time for my third and final qualifying heat. Everything depended on this race. Before the start, we tested the transponder, and yes, it was finally working again. That gave me a little confidence, so I thought, all right, let's do this. This time, I decided to be a little more strategic. Instead of charging into the first corner with everyone else, I deliberately started from the back of the field. My plan was simple. Avoid the inevitable first corner chaos, stay out of trouble, and let the race come to me. Sometimes finishing clean is faster than trying to win the race in the first 10 meters. Unfortunately, that excitement didn't last very long. After just 4 laps, the transponder stopped registering my laps again. I honestly can't describe how frustrating that felt. After weeks of testing, tuning, upgrading, and fine-tuning this Arrma Talion, I finally had a car that was genuinely fast and competitive. If you've watched my previous Talion videos, you'll know just how many hours I've spent trying to get this car to perform at its best. To have all that hard work ruined by a tiny little transponder, well, let's just say it wasn't exactly the highlight of my day. Still, there was no point in giving up. I kept pushing and finished the race as if every lap still counted. When the heat ended, the person running the timing system estimated that I had completed around 10 laps. I counted them myself afterward and came up with 12 or maybe even 13 laps. Part of the confusion was caused by the race being flagged a little earlier than expected, even though the race time hadn't completely expired. In the end, the official result was 13 laps in my first qualifying heat, no valid result from the second because of the transponder failure, and 10 laps for the third. Not exactly the way I imagined my first club championship would go. But then came the surprise of the day. Those results were still enough to qualify me in 4th place for the A final. Honestly, I couldn't believe it. Coming into my very first club championship, I was hoping to learn, gain some experience, and maybe avoid finishing last. Instead, I was lining up with the fastest drivers of the day to fight for the podium. I definitely wasn't expecting that. That doesn't change my opinion about the timing system, though. Personally, I think the current transponder setup still needs quite a bit of work. If I had been the only driver with problems, I probably would have blamed myself. But several other club members experienced exactly the same issues throughout the day. So hopefully it's something that can be improved before the next championship round. Personal highlight of the day, a one-on-one battle with the fastest driver at the event. I knew exactly who I was up against, and I had absolutely no shame in coming second best. This driver has years of racing experience, while this was my very first club championship race. For a few laps, we battled wheel to wheel, and honestly, that alone was an amazing feeling. It proved to me that all those weeks of testing and upgrading and fine-tuning my Talion had been worth it. I might not have won the battle, but sharing the track with the fastest driver of the day was a personal victory I'll remember for a long time.
Was nog niet voorbij de tijd.
And just like that, time was up. The current lap would be the last one, so everyone pushed to the finish. Now there was nothing left to do but wait for the final results and find out where I'd end up after an unforgettable first day of racing. Just like I mentioned earlier, 13 laps in my first qualifying heat, let's quickly forget about the second one, and 10 laps in the third. In the end, it was enough to qualify for the A final, and honestly, that's all that really mattered. Before it was time for my A final, the B final took to the track first. Since I was track marshal once again, it was the perfect chance to capture some amazing close-up footage from right in the middle of the action. Movie camera, checkered flag, and wow, the B final was every bit as exciting as the qualifying heats. From the very first lap, the drivers were battling hard, making clean overtakes, defending their positions, and giving absolutely everything they had. Every lap brought another great fight somewhere on the track, making it impossible to look away. One thing that really stood out to me was the atmosphere. Everyone was racing hard, but there was also a lot of respect between the drivers. Whether you were in the A final or the B final, everyone was there to enjoy the competition and have a great day of racing. Watching it from trackside was an absolute pleasure, and I managed to capture some of my favorite shots of the entire event. Of course, every race can only have one winner, and in the B final, that honor went to Misha. He put in a fantastic drive with his beautiful Losi and fully deserved the win. Congratulations, Misha. It was great to watch and a well-earned trophy to take home. And now, the moment I've been waiting for all day, the A final. The starting grid was based on the qualifying results, and despite all the transponder issues, I still managed to qualify in an incredible 4th place. I honestly couldn't have asked for a better starting position. Looking around the grid, I knew I was surrounded by fast and experienced drivers. This was the best of the best. But after all the testing, tuning, and upgrading, Mike Talion had given me the confidence to believe I could fight for a podium finish. Now there was only one thing left to do. Keep the nerves under control, stay focused, and enjoy my very first A final. Whatever happened next, this was already a day I'll never forget. Let's see what we can do.
Daar kunnen we heel even vast op. Heel snel met de benen. Niet praten. Oké. Oh, het staat in de hoek. En erop.
And then, disaster struck. In the chaos of a flipped car and a track marshal on the racing line, my Talion took a hard hit and the pinion gear came loose. With less than a minute left in the A final, my race was over. Of course, you can't help but wonder what might have been. One of the fastest drivers had already retired with a mechanical failure, so maybe, just maybe, a third place finish could have been within reach. But that's racing. Mechanical failures are part of the sport, and sometimes luck simply isn't on your side. Even so, it was an unforgettable first championship race. I made the A final, battled with some incredibly fast drivers, and learned a lot along the way. And in the end, there can only be one winner. Congratulations to Martin, who drove a fantastic race with his beautiful Techno ET48 and fully deserved the victory. With a few final beauty shots of my Talion, it's time to bring this incredible day to an end. What an unforgettable experience. My very first real RC race had everything you could ask for. Excitement, close battles, a few setbacks, plenty of lessons, and memories that will stay with me for a long time. Even though luck wasn't always on my side, I'm leaving with a huge smile on my face and a lot more confidence in both myself and my Talion. Most importantly, I had an absolutely fantastic day with a great group of people at RC045. The atmosphere, the racing, and the sportsmanship made this an experience I'll never forget. And one thing is for sure, my first club championship race has definitely left me wanting more. I really hope you enjoyed coming along on this journey and experiencing my first race together with me. If you did, I'd really appreciate a like, and if you haven't already, consider subscribing so you won't miss the next adventure. Thank you so much for watching, thank you for all your support, and as always, I'll see you in the next RC adventure.